The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
I'm Ryan Risky. The NBA Draft is underway.
Yes, it is. And before we tell you who the number one pick is, which you might already know, or, it's pretty much assumed who the number one pick is, we're going to take a look back at some of the other number ones that were drafted since 2000, so over a 15-year period. In 2000, Kenyon Martin was drafted. I forget what team he was drafted by officially, but 2000 was Kenyon Martin. He was a great college player. In 2001, Kwame Brown was drafted. 2002, you had Yao Ming. 2003, LeBron James. 2004, Dwight Howard. 2005, Andrew Bogut. 2006, Andrea Bargnani. 2007, Greg Oden. That's probably the worst out of all these just because he never played. 08 was Derrick Rose. 09 was Blake Griffin. 2010 was John Wall. 2011 was Kyrie Irving. 2012 was Anthony Davis, which has turned out very well, obviously. 2013 was Anthony Bennett. 2014 was Andrew Wiggins. And 2015 is Karl Anthony Towns, forward out of Kentucky. So he is off to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who already have a very young core and are continuing to grow on that, along with Andrew Wiggins and along with Ricky Rubio.
Yeah, they're going to be a force to be
a lot of people
with because, Wiggins just looks like a superstar to me.
Right, and I think he'll be really good. Of course, you look at some of the other teams who have young stars. Jabari Parker and the Bucks could be very good in the next few years as well. So, there's a lot of teams that could be doing really well soon. The number 2 pick was D'Angelo Russell from Ohio State. The point guard out of Ohio State played in a tough conference, so he has that going for him. The Big Ten Conference and the ACC Conference are sort of like mini NBAs where you get, the best of the best talent sort of in there. So, D'Angelo Russell to the Lakers, so that'll help out the Lakers playing with Kobe in what could be his final year, which I think it is his final year, right?
Yeah,
I believe next year is his last year. So
and you and I were talking about, we were going through the previous top picks in the draft, and we kind of realized most of the big men have turned out to be busts with the first overall pick, and then the guards have turned into great players. The
guards have turned into to really good players. I agree with you there. Obviously, LeBron James was taken number 1 overall, back in 2003. Rose was taken number 1 overall in 2008. And then obviously, the last 2 years, the first 2 picks, besides 2013, because Anthony Bennett hasn't really turned out to be anything yet, although he could be a pretty good talent. We don't really know yet. But obviously, 2012 taking Anthony Davis, very smart move. And
that's one of the times the picking the big man didn't come back to haunt us. You saw Kwame Brown, Greg Oden, and was Oden the one taken before Rose, or the year before Rose?
Yeah. Oden was taken in 2007, Rose in 2008.
All right, yeah, that's just some of the big men have turned out to be more busts, and I think like a big man like that isn't as valuable nowadays as it used to be.
Right, it's still valuable.
As you see, like these guards are performing well. You got Rose, you got John Wall doing very well last
Kyrie
year.
Irving,
Irving, Andrew Wiggins. Right now it's
Jabari Parker now. There's gonna be a lot of good.
Yeah, if you got like a guard or a small forward that can shoot the ball and carry a team, you're good. I know people are going to criticize the Lakers for not taking Jahlil Okafor, except the reason that they probably didn't is probably because they plan on signing either Kevin Love or LaMarcus Aldridge in free agency. And
let's not forget Julius Randle was hurt first game of the season for them, right?
Right. Julius Randle, and also throw in the fact that Kobe Bryant is probably retiring after the season. They might want a young guard to be seasoned by him.
Right. That's a good point. I think, I feel like we never really heard much about D'Angelo Russell, but he's the best guard available, I think. So obviously it was.
I know
a good
some
choice.
people have compared him to Steph Curry, which is a little too high of a comparison. I don't think he'll be that good.
NBA champion Steph Curry.
I don't think he'll be as good of a shooter. He could be like a good player.
Oh, I think he will be a very good player. I'm not sure. I don't know how high the ceiling is for him. The 76ers pick is in, but Commissioner.
Yeah, we don't even. It's
Adam Silver. He hasn't come out yet. So
I saw a tweet that said that 76ers and the Celtics are working the phone lines hard.
Okay, here comes the NBA Commissioner. We'll see who he announces the 76ers picked. And of course, there could be stuff going on behind the scenes, as you said, which will probably happen. Of course, it happened last year very excitingly with the Bulls when they ended up getting
there was
Doug
a lot of trades last year.
There was. It sounds like, it looks like they're giving
and it looks like the Sixers,
it
sounds like the Sixers did not end up trading that pick, which honestly, if I was Jahlil Okafor, I'd be praying that that pick was traded because I wouldn't want to play for Philadelphia. And for all we know, they're going to ask him to sit out for a whole season just because that's what they've done with their past first-round picks with Nerlens Noel and Joel Embiid, which, by the way, Joel Embiid's broken foot has not been healing properly, and he might miss the entire season this upcoming season.
Yeah.
Which, wow, that is looking like not that great of a pick.
According to Adrian Wojnarowski, who is NBA expert for Yahoo Sports, says the Sixers will select Jahlil Okafor. So pretty confident.
Yeah, I guess they couldn't. They didn't get enough picks. I guess maybe the Celtics didn't offer him 6 first-round picks.
Yeah. So
the Celtics are better off just keeping some play. Obviously, they wanted to get a superstar player, and this would have been the kind of guy for them. Except, I guess the 76ers finally realized, we might never have this chance again because Joel Embiid's sure not looking like that great of a pick, especially if he misses if he misses next season, and throw in the fact that they don't really have like great big men that can score. Nerlens Noel can't score. He's not a consistent shooter. He's a good defender and can block a lot of shots. And they might need to realize, they need a big man.
Right.
To get it going because, they're a franchise in shambles right now.
Yeah, I mean, the 76ers, they were pretty good in 2012 when, after Rose went down with that injury in the playoffs, they ended up, they beat the Bulls 4 straight after that, and they ended up moving on. But other than that, they've really been a bad franchise for a long time, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It feels like ever since Allen Iverson left ever since he left the 76ers and went to the Nuggets, it seems ever since then they haven't really been able to recover.
Right, and it's kind of interesting. Jahlil Okafor was a tremendous shooter. He made a lot of his shots. He shot 66% from the field on field goals, which is as a freshman, which no player since 1975 had a higher field goal percentage than him. His one negative, though, is his free throws. He's not a great free throw shooter, and he's an okay defender.
Right. And going back to the Bulls for a second.
Another thing with that, before we get to the Philadelphia, this is 3 consecutive years they've taken a center. It went Noel, Joel Embiid, and Jahlil Okafor. Something's not going right if you're drafting a center in 3 consecutive drafts with a top 5 pick.
Right. I don't know. I guess they've got a good core there, but I don't know how it's gonna work out.
Yeah, and the Knicks kind of got screwed over with those guys going in the top 3. I'm sure their front office doesn't know who to pick.
Right. And now to the Bulls, as they have the 22nd pick, they it's sort of uncertain who they're going to take. I know it was projected they would take the guard from UNLV.
The point guard?
Yeah.
I don't get
from
why.
UNLV, so we'll see.
Point guard's one of the least of their problems, in my opinion. Why?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, after Rose, you don't have anybody who can play.
You can just re-sign Aaron Brooks or sign someone. You still have Kirk Heinrich. Sign someone in.
But I mean, why would you
agency.
want Aaron Brooks when you can have a young, fresh talent from UNLV?
At the 22nd overall, you're not really going to get someone that.
No, but he's got to be better than Aaron Brooks.
I mean, and they have other needs like a shooting guard, like a taller guard that can shoot the ball well. That's what they need.
Well, that's what McDermott is supposed to be for them, right?
Yeah, he's a small forward. He's going to be playing small.
Right, he can play shooting
forward.
guard.
Yeah, I think they'll play him at the 3. And I mean, I just think right now isn't the best time to address the point guard situation for the Bulls.
Yeah, well, I mean, we still have Mirotić, still have Taj, Noah, Pau Gasol. There has been talk that Joakim Noah will possibly be shopped. I heard somebody saying that would be a good idea, and honestly, it sort of is.
Trade him for a first-round pick. He's not going to get much higher value. He's 30 or 31. His contract's up at the end of next year. You're not going to go and re-sign him to a massive deal. It's time to move on.
Yeah, there's almost too many good forwards on the Bulls team with Taj, Noah, and Pau Gasol.
That's
and
why
Noah's
I was
more of a
thinking
center,
you package Jimmy Butler for DeMarcus Cousins and just get rid of that guy. I mean, just good riddance to Jimmy Butler.
Well, I don't agree with that, but
when he gets his massive contract and then he underperforms, I'll be the one.
I mean, why would you want DeMarcus Cousins when you already have all these big guys? I understand that you might want DeMarcus Cousins, and he's a good talent, but he's not coming to the Bulls.
Well, I was also thinking you could just send Jimmy Butler and your first-round pick to the Lakers for the number 2. They love that.
Wow.
I just think like DeMarcus Cousins, he's 24 on a reasonable contract, and he averages 24 points and 13 rebounds.
He's a locker room problem, though.
Yeah. See, Tom Thibodeau would have fixed that. He would have no attitude if Tom Thibodeau was the coach.
Right. Well, he really shouldn't have an attitude with George Karl as the coach either. But apparently George Karl wants him out. So
yeah, now the Kings owner is thinking about firing him because of that. After they gave him a big deal to turn the franchise around.
Right. I think this Bulls starting lineup though is still pretty good. If Joakim Noah does end up leaving, then you have still a pretty good starting 5 of Rose and Butler. Mirotić and Pau, and then Taj Gibson would probably slide. If Joakim Noah was gone, he would slide into that role. Otherwise, Joakim Noah would be in place of him.
I don't think the Bulls are going to make like a big move like that. If you look, Gar Forman and John Paxson really have made no big moves via trades.
I'm not sure if they can afford Joakim Noah with all the Jimmy Butler stuff.
I mean, they're not going to break up this core, so they're just not. And the Bulls,
well, we know Jimmy Butler.
I know obviously when Rose becomes a free agent, you're probably not going to re-sign him unless he starts playing extremely well again. Except,
and if you're going to re-sign him, he's going to have to understand he's not getting the money that he got last time.
Yeah, and another thing is if you're going to draft a point guard, like just to think of the years past Rose has 2 more years. If you draft a point guard right now, he'll be a free agent in 3 years, 4 years. That'll be 2 years without Rose. If you want to draft a point guard for the future, next year's the time to do it.
Right.
And that's what if they draft a point guard thinking he's the heir to Rose? Rose plays extremely well. They end up re-signing him, obviously at a lesser rate. You got this point guard that you drafted to be his heir, and instead you went with Derrick Rose. This will look like another awful pick. Last time they took a point guard was Marcus Teague, and that turned into a disaster.
Yeah, well, yes, obviously that did turn into a disaster.
Tom Thibodeau wanted Draymond Green.
Looks like the Knicks pick is in. We'll see who they're picking.
His name is Chris Tips.
And then we will go to break after their pick is in, and then when we come back from break, we will discuss the Cubs.
Porzingis.
Yeah, they took Kristaps Porzingis from Latvia. He's a power forward. So that was sort of expected as well, which, I mean, obviously in these type of drafts, especially in the NBA draft, you pretty much know what you're going to get.
The Orlando Magic are expected to select Mario Hazonia?
Yeah, he's the other foreign guy, isn't he?
It sounds like it, just judging by the name.
I think he's from Spain or something, or Croatia. I think there's a guy from Croatia who's possibly on the map. I'm not sure. But we'll talk about who they pick next, and we'll also get into some Cubs talk as well, and we'll keep you updated on the draft as it continues. You're listening to the Sports Renegades here on SportsDownChicago.com. The Sports Renegades